You think you know Harry Potter? Think again, because what I'm about to tell you will make you question everything you thought was true about the wizarding world. From secret bloodlines connecting Harry to Voldemort, to a twisted theory that could change the entire ending of the story. These are the kind of facts that even J.K. Rowling never put in the books. And trust me, by the time we reach the last one, you'll never look at Harry Potter the same way again. Most fans believe Harry's connection to Voldemort comes down to the prophecy and that accidental Horcrux, but the truth is way darker. They're actually related. Both descend from the Peverell brothers, the original masters of the Deathly Hallows. That means the boy who lived and the Dark Lord share the same bloodline. Think about it. The two most powerful wizards of their time were always destined to face each other, because in a twisted way, they were family. Long before our Harry was born, there was another wizard named Harry Potter. Living in the early 1900s, he was a bit of an eccentric inventor, famous for creating Sleek Easy's hair potion, a product that secretly made the Potter family fortune. First, Harry was also known for standing up to the Ministry of Magic when it tried to silence wizard-muggle marriages. Without him, the Potter name might have been forgotten, and our Harry might never have even existed. Harry's birthday is July 31st, but here's the twist, so is J.K. Rowling's. This wasn't some random date. Rowling has said it was her way of weaving herself directly into Harry's story, almost like a silent signature hidden in the pages. In a way, Harry isn't just her creation, he's her alter ego. You'd think the creation of the 4 Hogwarts houses happened in some magical writing room, with candles flickering and old quills scratching on parchment. But nope, J.K. Rowling was on a delayed flight, bored out of her mind when the idea hit her. With nothing else to write on, she grabbed the only paper she could find, the back of an airline bath bag. And right there, squished between a plastic cup of airplane coffee and a screaming toddler in the row behind her, she wrote down, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, Slytherin. That little scrap of paper, meant for emergencies of a very different kind, became the foundation of Hogwarts itself. Somewhere in the trash, there's probably a crumpled bath bag that should be sitting in a museum. When you hear about aconite, wolfsbane, or mandrake, you'd think they were pure fantasy, invented just for the wizarding world. But Rowling didn't make them up. She pulled them straight out of Culpepper's Complete Herbal, a real book from the 1600s. The creepy part? These plants exist in our world, and some are insanely dangerous. Aconite, for example, is so poisonous it can kill you even if it just touches your skin. Mandrakes? Okay, they don't scream loud enough to drop you dead, but their roots do look eerily like human bodies. Makes you wonder, was Rowling drawing from fantasy or from something a lot darker? Moaning Myrtle might be stuck as a whiny 14-year-old ghost forever, but the actress who played her, Shirley Henderson, was 36 years old at the time. That means she was older than most of the professors in the film, yet she still managed to pull off awkward teenage energy better than anyone else. She even said in interviews that it was weird but hilarious having to film bathroom scenes with actors 20 years younger than her. Myrtle might have been annoying in the story, but in real life, total legend. If you've made it this far, I already know you're a real Potterhead. So here's the deal. Hit subscribe right now and I'll let you in on the next set of facts that include a secret so wild it could change the ending of Harry Potter, and a connection between Dumbledore and Snape that will blow your mind. Trust me, miss it, and you'll feel like you just got hit by a rogue bludger. Most fans know Dumbledore had a complicated past, but buried in that story is a heartbreaking secret most people miss. His younger sister Ariana wasn't just shy or frail, she was attacked by a group of Muggle boys after they saw her performing magic. That attack broke something inside her. From that day on, she couldn't control her powers. Sometimes bursts of magic would explode from her without warning, hurting people around her. The family kept her hidden for years, telling the world she was ill, but many fans believe Ariana was actually an Obscurial, the same unstable, destructive force that lived inside Credence in Fantastic Beasts. If that theory is true, Dumbledore spent years living with one of the most dangerous magical entities in existence, knowing she could erupt at any moment. And the worst part? In a tragic accident during a fight between Albus, Aberforth, and Grindelwald, Ariana was killed. Some say Dumbledore never forgave himself, and that's why he was so obsessed with protecting Harry, no matter the cost. There's one spell that's so final, so unforgivable, that even dark wizards hesitate to speak its name: Avada Kedavra. We all know it as the killing curse, but here's the disturbing part. It's not just fantasy. Rowling took the name from the ancient Aramaic phrase Avada Kedavra, which means, let the thing be destroyed. Over centuries, this morphed into the Muggle magician's abracadabra, used as a harmless magic word. But in the wizarding world, those syllables carry the weight of death. When you hear it in the books or films, it's not just a curse, it's an echo from a time when language itself was believed to hold the power of life and death. So the next time you hear a magician at a kid's party say, abracadabra, just remember, in the wizarding world, it wouldn't make you smile, it would drop you in an instant. In the Sorcerer's Stone, the first thing Snape ever says to Harry is, Potter, what would I get if I added powdered root of asphodel to an infusion of wormwood? To most viewers, it sounded like pure sarcasm, Snape putting the new kid on the spot. But Rowling later revealed a hidden layer. In the Victorian language of flowers, asphodel means my regrets follow you to the grave, and wormwood means bitterness. So Snape's first words to Harry weren't a potions question at all. They were a coded message. I bitterly regret Lily's death. He was telling Harry the truth about his feelings from the very start, and nobody caught it for more than a decade. When you rewatch the series knowing this, it makes Snape's story even more tragic, because his first words to Harry were also, in a way, his last. We all know Voldemort as the noseless, snake-faced Dark Lord, but here's the thing, it wasn't just dark magic that made him look like that. When Tom Riddle began experimenting with Horcruxes, he was splitting his soul over and over again, and the soul itself started to warp. Each time he tore it apart, his physical form reflected the corruption inside him. His features became sharper, his skin paler, and eventually his nose flattened like a serpent's. Why a snake? Because Voldemort was obsessed with them, Parseltongue was part of his identity, and he modeled himself after Nagini and the symbol of Slytherin. But here's the creepiest theory. Some fans believe he deliberately used snake venom in dark rituals to complete his transformation. If that's true, his appearance wasn't an accident, it was a choice. We all remember Hagrid sneaking Norbert the dragon into Hogwarts, but that was nothing compared to what he almost brought in. In early drafts, Rowling considered giving Hagrid a baby acromantula, the same species as Aragog. Yes, a giant venomous spider. The plan was for Hagrid to secretly raise it in the castle until it got too big to hide, forcing him to release it into the Forbidden Forest. Rowling later admitted it would have been a bit too terrifying for a children's book, but imagine how different the story would have been if Harry had stumbled across a giant spider in Book 1. In Deathly Hallows Part 2, we see Harry snap the Elder Wand in half and throw it away. But in the books, that never happens. He actually uses it to repair his own wand first, and then returns it to Dumbledore's tomb. Here's the wild part. A deleted scene shows a completely different version where the Elder Wand rejects Harry, sensing he doesn't want its power. If that had been canon, it would imply the wand is sentient, choosing who it serves, and that maybe, just maybe, it could find a new master long after Harry. Meaning, the story of the Deathly Hallows might not actually be over. We all know Dobby as the lovable, slightly chaotic house elf who'd do anything to protect Harry. But here's the part they never talk about. Dobby didn't just serve the Malfoys, he was bound to them by ancient magic so cruel that breaking it was almost impossible. House elf servitude isn't like a job, it's a blood oath. The elf is magically tied to the family's very lineage. That means every act of abuse Dobby suffered left a magical scar that couldn't heal until he was freed. And here's the twist. Some fans believe Lucius Malfoy deliberately pushed Dobby to Harry, knowing the chaos he'd cause, just to sabotage him before the Triwizard Tournament. If that theory is true, Dobby's rescue in Chamber of Secrets wasn't just a happy accident. It was part of Lucius's plan that backfired spectacularly. The Great Hall is Hogwarts' beating heart, but there's something strange about it that almost no one notices. In the films, the enchanted ceiling reflects the weather outside, but that's not the only magic at work. According to Rowling, the entire hall can shift its size based on how many students are present. When guests arrive for big events like the Yule Ball, the hall silently expands, stretching its walls outward without anyone feeling a thing. And in times of danger, it can actually shrink, creating a more defensible space. That means during the Battle of Hogwarts, the Great Hall wasn't just a meeting place, it was actively protecting the students. Everyone remembers Professor Sprout as the cheerful head of Hufflepuff, teaching students about magical plants. But have you noticed she's completely absent from the final battle? In the books, she fights alongside the others, throwing venomous plants at Death Eaters. But in the films, she vanishes after Chamber of Secrets. No goodbye, no mention, nothing. Some fans believe it was a filming decision, but others think Rowling left her fate deliberately vague, because Sprout's knowledge of deadly plants could make her one of the most dangerous witches alive if she ever turned dark. Imagine a Death Eater who knows exactly how to kill you with a single leaf. The next facts are where things get really insane. We're talking a prophecy that might still come true, a magical object that was quietly stolen from the set of the films, and the dark secret behind a fan-favorite creature that might ruin your childhood. Hit subscribe now, because if you miss these, you'll be as lost as a first year in the Forbidden Forest. We all know the prophecy about Harry and Voldemort. Neither can live while the other survives. But buried in the Order of the Phoenix is another barely noticed prophecy made by Professor Trelawney. She mutters about the Dark Lord's servant returning to his master and the world trembling once again. Most fans assume she meant Wormtail, but that prophecy doesn't have a confirmed end date. Some theorists believe it's not about Voldemort at all, but about a new dark wizard rising, one connected to Voldemort's bloodline through magic. If that's true, the Harry Potter story might not be over. During filming, Warner Brothers had strict security to protect props, but one object mysteriously vanished and was never recovered. A real handcrafted Philosopher's Stone replica used in Sorcerer's Stone. It wasn't just plastic, it was an actual precious gemstone worth thousands. Here's where it gets creepy. The thief didn't just take it, they replaced it with a fake. It wasn't discovered until weeks later, and nobody knows how they got past security. To this day, the real Philosopher's Stone from the films is out there in someone's possession, and Warner Brothers has never commented on it again. At first, Thestrals seemed like misunderstood creatures, skeletal, bat-winged horses only visible to those who've seen death. But here's the part the films never mention. In some wizarding cultures, Thestrals are seen as bad omens, believed to guide souls into the afterlife, whether they want to go or not. And in darker legends, they're not born at all. They're created when a magical horse witnesses a violent death and is forever transformed. That means every Thestral in the Forbidden Forest has witnessed something horrific and carries that moment with them forever. Next time you see one in the films, remember, it's not just a magical animal. It's a walking reminder of death. Hogwarts was founded by 4 of the greatest witches and wizards of their time: Gryffindor, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, and Ravenclaw. But here's a detail buried so deep in Potter lore that most fans have never heard it. Rowena Ravenclaw and Helga Hufflepuff were rumored to be cousins. This isn't fanfiction. Some early wizarding family trees suggest the 2 women shared the same magical bloodline, passed down through a powerful Scottish clan. If that's true, it means half of Hogwarts was built on a single family's vision, uniting loyalty, Hufflepuff, and wisdom, Ravenclaw, into the school's foundation. And here's where it gets wild. That same bloodline could still be alive today, hidden among modern witches and wizards, meaning a living descendant of the Hogwarts founders could be walking around right now. We've all heard Wingardium Leviosa, the levitation charm Hermione corrects Ron on in their very first year. But here's the creepy truth. The spell we say today is a corrupted version of the original incantation. Ancient magical texts list it as Wingardio Leviosa, a hybrid of Latin and Old English meaning to lift with the guardian's hand. The change to Wingardium was deliberate, a ministry-approved safe version after several magical accidents in the 1600s, where the original form of the spell could levitate a person so high they never came down. Meaning, if someone out there still knows and uses the ancient pronunciation, they could perform a much more dangerous and possibly illegal version of the spell. We've just gone through 20 facts, strange, dark, and unbelievable, but here's the question no one's asking. What if they're not just random pieces of trivia? Think about it. Voldemort's transformation, the Founder's secret bloodlines, prophecies that haven't been fulfilled, dangerous spells hidden from history. What if every single one of these is part of a much bigger story? A story J.K. Rowling never told us, but quietly planted in the background for those who look close enough. Because maybe, just maybe, the wizarding world we know is only the tip of the iceberg. And the real magic? It's still out there, waiting to be discovered. So don't just leave this video thinking, cool facts. Hit subscribe because next time we're pulling back the curtain even further. And trust me, once you see what's underneath, you'll never look at Harry Potter the same way again.